Edizirai gave her childhood friend a pair of shoes. And her entire life fell apart. From a loving home and a great job, to sudden tears, betrayal, and spiritual attack. She thought it was kindness, but it was a setup. This is a true tale of envy, dark secrets, and one woman's fight to reclaim her life. Watch till the end. The truth will shock you. Edizirai was the kind of woman who turned heads wherever she went, not just because of her beauty, but because of her heart. She grew up in Akpara Inland, a quiet town where people lived simply and knew each other's roots. From childhood, she was known for kindness, giving away her snacks, her pencils, and even her best dresses. Her goodness followed her into adulthood. After finishing university, she got a good job in Wari and married her longtime love, Temizin. Their home was filled with peace, laughter, and prayers. She was the type of woman who would see someone hungry and go out of her way to feed them, even if it was her last food. But not all who smiled with Edizirai wished her well. Among the crowd was her childhood friend, Omot. They had grown up on the same red soil streets, fetched water from the same stream, and once dreamt of traveling the world. But as life would have it, Omot's path was rough. She dropped out of school, had no stable income, and was raising a child alone. While Edizirai extended help whenever she could, giving her food, money, and clothes, Omot's heart grew darker. She began to see Edizirai's kindness as pride, and every success as a personal insult. She smiled on the outside, but inside jealousy burned like fire. One bright Saturday morning, Omot visited Edizirai under the pretense of checking on her and her family. Edizirai welcomed her with open arms and laughter. The aroma of pepper soup filled the air as they sat on the tiled veranda sipping zobo. Temizin waved politely as he left for work, and their 2 children played inside. To anyone watching, it was 2 sisters reunited, bonded by years of shared history. But Omot's eyes were not on the conversation. They were scanning everything. Edizirai's home, her fine Ankara gown, her smooth skin, her confident posture. Jealousy was a sharp blade twisting deeper in her belly. As Edizirai chatted about work and church, Omot's face remained calm. She even complimented Edizirai's outfit and shoes. That's when her eyes landed on a beautiful pair of brown heels beside the door. "These shoes are stunning," Omot said, picking them up. "Where did you buy them?" Edizirai smiled. "You like them. Take them. I haven't even worn them yet." Omot acted surprised, thanking her profusely, but inside she smirked. That was the moment she had been waiting for. She took the shoes home, but not to wear them. Instead, she planned something far darker. Something Edizirai's kind heart could never imagine. Omot wrapped the shoes in a black nylon bag, placed them inside an old box, and traveled to a remote village across the river known for one thing: its powerful herbalist, Agbanu. The journey was long and dusty. She crossed bush paths and avoided curious eyes. The thoughts in her head were twisted. "Let her fall," she muttered. "Let everything she has collapse. She thinks she's better than me. Let her eat dust." At the edge of the village, she met a young boy who led her to the herbalist's shrine, a small clay hut surrounded by skulls and red cloth tied on sticks. Agbanu was a short, wrinkled man with red eyes and a crooked mouth. He didn't ask questions when Omot dropped the shoes on the mat and explained her wicked plan. "Bind her," she said. "Make her fall. Let her lose her job, her husband, everything." The herbalist nodded slowly, took the shoes, and began chanting in a language older than time. He sprinkled black powder over them, tied red threads around the soles, and breathed into them. "It is done," he said. "Her light will begin to fade. But be warned, whatever is sent, returns if the sender's heart is not clean." Omot didn't care. She smiled wickedly and left. Edizirai didn't feel the change immediately. For weeks, everything seemed normal. She went to work, attended church programs, cooked dinner, and kissed her children goodnight. But slowly, cracks began to form. Her manager at work suddenly accused her of fraud, suspending her without evidence. Her church leader claimed she was becoming too proud and removed her from the choir. Then came the nightmares. Dark figures chasing her, shadows sitting at the foot of her bed, voices whispering her name at night. Even Temizin began acting strange, picking fights over small things and sleeping in the guest room. She started losing weight. Food lost its taste. Her phone rang less. People she once helped avoided her. Edizirai was confused, her spirit disturbed. She cried in the bathroom, asking God what she had done wrong. Even her children noticed. "Mummy, why are you always sad now?" her daughter asked one evening. The once vibrant woman was slowly becoming a shadow of herself. Something was wrong, but she couldn't explain it. Little did she know, the shoes she gave in kindness were now sitting in a dark calabash in a shrine, draining her blessings with every passing day. One night, as Edizirai lay restlessly on her bed, she had a strange dream. She was walking barefoot in a thick forest, calling out for help. Suddenly, an old woman in white appeared. Her face was lined with age, but her eyes shone like stars. "Your shoes are missing," the old woman said. "The ones you gave in kindness have been used against you." Edizirai gasped. "What do you mean?" The woman touched her forehead. "Not all smiles are friendly. Go to the river. There you will find the truth." She woke up sweating and shaking. Edizirai took the dream seriously. She had always been spiritual, and this was no ordinary dream. The next day she fasted and prayed. She visited her mother's cousin, an old prophetess named Mama Ejiro, who lived near the riverbank in Alaja. When Mama Ejiro saw her, she nodded before Edizirai even spoke. "You've been cursed," she said. "A gift turned into a weapon. Someone used your light against you. But all is not lost." Mama Ejiro led her in deep prayers and instructed her to bring salt, white cloth, and a bottle of palm oil. "We must break the link," she said, "before it is too late." Edizirai returned to Alaja early the next morning, carrying the items Mama Ejiro had requested. The old woman received her with solemn eyes and wasted no time. She poured the salt in a circle, placed the white cloth in the center, and lit a clay lamp beside it. "Remove your shoes and step inside the circle," she instructed. Edizirai obeyed. Mama Ejiro raised her hands to the heavens and began chanting in the Arobo tongue, invoking the ancestors and the god of justice to reveal hidden hands. As the air grew heavy, Edizirai felt a sharp pain in her legs, as though something was being pulled out of her. "You gave something precious to someone who wished you evil," Mama Ejiro said. "They took it to a dark place. But what is sent can return, if your hands remain clean." With each chant, the pain in Edizirai's body lessened. Her breathing steadied. The old woman gave her water to bathe her feet and anointed her forehead with palm oil. "This is not the end," she warned. "The shoe is still in the shrine. Until it is removed or destroyed, the curse will find ways to return. Do not rest yet. Rest. Watch everyone around you." Edizirai nodded with new fire in her spirit. She was no longer just a victim, she was rising to fight. Back in her compound, Omot was thriving. Since the day she handed the shoes to the herbalist, her life had started changing. Men were giving her money, food was always on her table, and her phone wouldn't stop ringing. She laughed more now, wearing Edizirai's gifted heels around her home like a trophy. "So this is how it feels to win," she said one evening, sipping palm wine under a mango tree. Her son had been accepted into a good school, and a local businessman had even offered to marry her. She told herself she deserved it. "After all, no one helped me when I was suffering," she muttered. Her friends noticed the change and asked her what her secret was. She waved it off with smiles. "Hard work and prayer," she lied. But something she didn't notice was starting to change. The heels she paraded proudly began to make strange noises at night. She heard whispers in her sleep. First she ignored them. But the whispers grew louder, darker, and more threatening. "Return what is not yours," they said. Still Omot pushed it aside. She believed she was untouchable now. But in the spirit realm, consequences were already gathering like storm clouds. Edizirai was fighting back, and the spirits would not be mocked. That night, Edizairai knelt beside her bed in prayer. Midnight came, and as the wind howled outside, her body trembled. She had lit a white candle, following Mama Ejiro's instruction, and sprinkled salt in each corner of the room. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed through the room, but no one was at the door. Then, her candle flickered and blew out by itself. She clutched her Bible and began to weep. A soft voice whispered in the dark, "It was your friend, the one you trusted. She walks in your shoes, but not with your heart." Edizairai's eyes widened. Omot. Could it be true? The dream, the prophetess, and now the whisper. It all pointed to her. Memories flashed through her mind. How Omot looked at her home, how she had complimented the shoes, how she left quickly that day. Rage filled her, but Mama Ejiro's words echoed. "You must not fight physically. This is spiritual warfare." So she bowed her head and prayed with tears rolling down. She asked God for strength, wisdom, and revenge, but the kind only heaven could administer. She knew now. The betrayal had a name. And that name was about to face the wrath of her rising spirit. The next morning, Omot woke up with swollen feet. She thought it was a minor reaction or insect bite. But by evening, her entire leg had turned purple. She couldn't walk. Her son cried as he helped her sit. Fear crept into her heart, and for the first time she thought of the herbalist. Could this be connected to what she did? She took off the brown heels and threw them under the bed. That night she saw a dream. Edizairai, dressed in white, was standing in a river, singing. Around her were spirits, watching silently. Omot tried to speak, but her voice vanished. When she woke, she was drenched in sweat. Her once beautiful home now felt like a graveyard. No one came to visit anymore. Cole stopped. Even the businessman who once chased her now avoided her. Everything was reversing. The curse had begun to return. Agbanu the herbalist's warning was no longer an echo. It was real. And Omot realized something chilling. She had touched a woman who was protected. Edizairai's kindness had become her weapon. And now, the spirits she mocked had come to collect. Edizairai visited Mama Ejiro again, bringing yam, palm oil, and a live chicken as Thanksgiving. She knelt before the old woman and cried, "Mama, I feel stronger. I know who it is now. But what do I do? Should I confront her?" Mama Ejiro looked deep into her eyes and shook her head. "No, child. Let the river fight for you. You have been clean from the start. This is why the curse will never last. But you must go to the source, return to your roots. Your late grandmother's grave lies near the sacred stream. Go there and speak. Speak with truth, with pain, and with fire." The next day, Edizairai traveled to her maternal village and found her grandmother's resting place. She knelt beside the grave and poured libation, telling her story. The wind stirred around her as she wept and spoke, asking for justice, not revenge. That night, she slept near the grave and dreamed again. Her grandmother appeared and placed her hands on her shoulder. "The battle is won," she whispered. "But there's still more to heal." Edizairai woke up with peace in her chest. The chains were breaking. But her story was only halfway told. Omot could no longer bear the torment. Her legs were swollen beyond recognition. Her once radiant skin now riddled with boils. She returned to the same herbalist who promised her glory. The shrine, once vibrant, was now dull, covered in cobwebs and ash. Agbanu looked older, frail, and shaken. "You returned the curse to yourself," he croaked. "That woman is shielded. Her grandmother walks with her. Her prayers opened a path the spirits now guard. You want healing? Burn the shoes. But even then the stain may remain." Moat wept. "But I didn't mean to destroy her. I only wanted her to feel what I felt for years." Agbanu hissed. "Then you should have prayed, not poisoned. Oh. Burn them with your own hands." That night, Omot limped home and retrieved the heels. She took them to a clearing and lit a fire, watching them burn with a foul black smoke. As the shoes turned to ash, a strange gust of wind swept over her, and she collapsed. The spirits were done with her, But the price of envy had already been paid in full. The next morning, Edizirai woke up refreshed. She hadn't slept that peacefully in months. Her children laughed again. Temizin kissed her forehead and apologized for all the hurtful words. "I've been confused. It's like something was clouding my mind," he said. She forgave him, knowing it was deeper than human understanding. Later that week, her manager at work called her. "We reviewed the case. It was a mistake. You're cleared and promoted. Please return." The chains had not just been broken, they were shattered. People started coming back into her life. But Edizirai had changed. She no longer entertained just anyone. Her spirit was wiser now. She had seen the darkness envy could breed, even in someone she once called a sister. She didn't curse Omot, didn't drag her name in the mud. Instead, she focused on rebuilding, praying, and mentoring young girls in her community. "Kindness is not weakness," she often said. "But wisdom is what makes kindness powerful." Omot's world shrunk like melting soap. The boils didn't heal completely. Her beauty faded. Men who once praised her now mocked her. No one knew exactly what happened, but the rumors in the village grew loud. She went to Juju house for her friend, people whispered. It backfired. Children pointed fingers. Mothers warned their daughters never to envy others. Omot withdrew from the world. Shame covered her like a torn wrapper. Even her child grew distant, afraid of the constant nightmares that filled their home. She tried to reach Edizirai to beg to apologize, but each time she got close, her body would shake, her legs would fail. The same spirits she sent had now tied her voice. "You cannot touch her," they warned. "She is shielded." For the rest of her life, Omot lived with the pain of watching the one she hated rise higher and higher, while she remained forgotten, a lesson written in scars. One quiet evening, Edizirai returned to Alaja to see Mama Ejiro, but the compound was silent. The old woman had passed in her sleep, surrounded by white candles and prayers. Villagers said her spirit left after fulfilling her mission. She had guided many, but Edizirai was her last true battle. They buried her under the great Irako tree, where birds never stopped singing. Edizirai knelt by the grave and cried tears of gratitude. "You saved me," she whispered. "I'll carry your light." To honor her, Edizirai started a foundation for widows and orphaned girls, naming it Mama Ejiro's Voice. Every month she shared stories, not just her own, but tales of betrayal, forgiveness, and redemption. She became more than a woman. She became a legend. In a world that tried to silence her spirit, she rose louder, stronger, and brighter than ever. Years passed, and Edizirai became known across towns for her wisdom. She wrote a book titled Kindness is Not Foolishness, and it sold across Nigeria. Pastors invited her to speak, schools studied her story, and women saw her as a pillar of strength. But through it all, she remained humble. "I don't have power," she often said, "but I serve a God who sees even the gift of a shoe." One day, a young girl asked her during a program, "Auntie, would you still give out the shoes if you had known?" Edizirai smiled gently and replied, "Yes, because her evil didn't change my good. It only revealed who she truly was. Let people show themselves. You just make sure your light never dims." And so, the story of Edizirai became one passed from mother to daughter, from elders to children. Not just as a warning about betrayal, but as a fire that teaches kindness must walk with wisdom, and that God sees everything, even what is done in secret. Let your heart be kind but your eyes be open. Because not everyone who smiles with you means well. The end.